Hello everyone, a very good morning to all. So in this video, we'll be discussing about some important compounds of group 13 and the diagonal relationship of boron with the group 14 element, which is present at the diagonal position to it in the periodic table, that is in the next period and at the diagonal position. So that element is silicon. So we'll be discussing about the anomalous behavior of boron in its own group, that is group 13, and its similarity with the diagonal element present in with it at the diagonal position, that is silicon. So we are getting started with the borazine. So borazine is isoelectronic with benzene and is having similar properties and structure, similar physical properties and structure with that of benzene. So this is also called as inorganic benzene. On this basis, this is called as inorganic benzene. So first time it was prepared in 1926 by Alfred Stock. So for the preparation, diborane was used. Diborane was made to treat was taken in 1:2. Diborane and ammonia was taken in 1:2 ratio at the temperature of 250 to 300 degrees Celsius, and we get the formation of inorganic benzene, that is borazine. Also, this can be prepared by the reaction of boron trichloride with ammonium chloride in the presence of chlorobenzene and at the temperature of 150 to 160 degrees Celsius. And we'll get from here, we'll get trichloroborazine, which further is reduced with the help of sodium borohydride in the presence of polyether. And from here, we get borazine along with diborane. So this is how this borazine is prepared, and there is one more preparatory reaction, that is via the direct reaction of alkali metal borohydride with ammonium chloride. So here we have taken, for the alkali metal borohydride, we have taken sodium borohydride that is reacted with ammonium chloride. We get the formation of again borazine, that is inorganic benzene. Now coming to the structure of borazine, the structure of borazine is quite similar to that of benzene. In case of benzene, there is a hexagon ring of 6 carbon atoms. Here in this borazine, alternate boron and nitrogens are present at alternate positions in the ring. There will be 3 borons and 3 nitrogens. And if we see for the number of valence electrons, boron is having 3 valence electrons and nitrogen is having 5 valence electrons. So 1Bn contains the total 8 valence electrons, and this whole molecule will contain, for boron and nitrogen, these will contain 8 into 3, that is 24 valence electrons. And same is the case with carbons. For the case of benzene, their carbons contain, each carbon is having 4 valence electrons each, and total of 6 carbons are there. So there are 24 valence electrons in the structure, and there are 6 hydrogens in case of benzene. 6 hydrogens are here also. 6 hydrogens, each hydrogen is bonded to 1 boron and nitrogen each. So the carbons in case of benzene are sp2 hybridized, because there are overlapping of there is a pi bond formation in the for the case of carbon carbon double bond is there. Alternate double bonds and single bonds are present in case of benzene, but in case of borazine, here also both the boron and nitrogen are sp2 hybridized, but boron is having vacant 2p orbital, while nitrogen is having filled 2p orbitals. There are pi electrons present, lone pair is present with the nitrogen. So there is a donation of pi electron cloud. Donation of this lone pair from the nitrogen to boron is there, and leading to the formation of dative bond, that is coordinate bond in place of the double bond. So this gives the appearance of the double bond, and the bonding and the properties are similar to that of benzene, which are there in benzene because of the double bond. So here the double bond characteristic is coming from the overlapping of filled p orbitals of nitrogen with the vacant p orbitals of boron. So here this double bond is represented by this arrow, that is lone pair is being donated from each nitrogen to the corresponding boron. So there will be 3 dative bonds, alternate positions, and here we have shown in the structure that there is a overlapping of filled 2p orbitals of nitrogen with the vacant 2p orbitals of boron. So this is how this is represented. These are the single bonds which are present in the structure, and these double bonds are coming through the formation of dative bond. Now coming to the physical properties are very much similar to that of benzene. As benzene is colorless, this is also colorless. Melting point and boiling points are very much close to that of benzene. This is also light sensitive and will explode if not stored in dark, just like benzene. That doesn't explode, but that is definitely light sensitive. So now coming to the chemical properties, there is no action of oxygen and air at ordinary conditions of temperature, but uh, uh, it reacts readily with water, alcohol, and HX. We can say it gives addition product in the ratio 1:3, which on further heating to 100 degrees Celsius will lose hydrogen. So this addition product is formed. Here, one point which is to be noted, that in all the cases, the protonation occurs at, there are two cases where protonation can take place, either boron or nitrogen. Out of boron and nitrogen, the protonation will take place at nitrogen, because this is electronegative in comparison to that of boron. Although the formal charge on the structure is in the structure, the formal charge is negative charge is there on boron, because of the formation of donation of electrons from the lone pair of donation of lone pair from nitrogen to boron. There is partial negative charge on boron and positive charge on nitrogen if we talk about the formal charges. But as nitrogen is more electronegative, so there will be protonation will take place at nitrogen only, not at boron. So this is how the addition product will form. This is the addition product. These are the addition products for water. It is for HCl, and this is for ROH, that is alcohol. Further, which were heated at 100 degrees Celsius, will lose 3 molecules of hydrogen and will get the formation of, ultimately what we are getting here is that each hydrogen which was present at boron, each boron which was bonded to hydrogen earlier, now that has been replaced with the anionic part of the addendum which we have added, that is water, HCl or ROH. Now heating or by passing silent electric current, it gives the formation of inorganic naphthalene and diphenyl. Mixture of inorganic naphthalene and diphenyl is obtained with us when we heat this borazine or pass electric current. So this is called as inorganic naphthalene because this is having similar structure with that of naphthalene, and here this diphenyl is also having similar, diphenyl borazine is having similar structure with the or we can say this is inorganic diphenyl which is having similar structure with actual diphenyl. So also from here we can synthesize inorganic cyclohexane. When we react HCl with borazine, we get the formation of this addition product. Now we are not heating this addition product which was obtained here, but what we are doing here, we are reducing it, we're treating it with reducing agent, which will lead to the replacement of all the 3 chlorines with hydrogen, and we'll get the corresponding cyclohexane types, inorganic cyclohexane out of borazine. So this is the structure of inorganic cyclohexane. So from borazine, borazine is called as inorganic benzene. We can get inorganic naphthalene, we can get inorganic cyclohexane, we can get inorganic diphenyl. So this is how these can be prepared, and these are the addition reactions where protonation takes place at nitrogen. This is the important point which is to be kept in mind, that protonation always takes at nitrogen. So next we have boron nitride. This is the another compound which is synthesized from diborane. When it is treated with excess of ammonia at high temperature, we get the formation of a giant molecule which resembles to that of graphite, which is the which is the similar molecule made out of boron and nitrogen, which resembles to that of graphite. This is a giant molecule where Bn it is kind of a, we can say it is a polymer where X is large in number. So boron and nitrogen, the structure is very much similar to that of borazine. Boron and nitrogen at alternate positions, alternate double bonds, which are formed by the dative bond, by the donation of lone pair of nitrogen to that of boron, from the filled 2p orbitals of nitrogen to vacant 2p orbitals of boron. So this is how this 3-dimensional network is there. Number of valence electrons, again how this resembles to that of graphite is that the number of valence electrons with boron and nitrogen total are 8, and those with 2 carbons in the graphite, there is also 8 valence electrons. Here we have shown the formal charges on the after the formation of dative bond on the boron and nitrogen. So formal charge on boron is negative and formal charge on nitrogen is positive. Also, this is having layered structure, will very much similar to that of graphite, which is having layered structure. So this is the first layer and this is the second layer. In case of graphite, all the atoms are carbon. So there is no any there is nothing to be kept in mind while drawing the layers. But in case of boronite, right, what we are to keep in mind is that when we are drawing a layer, say this dark colored atoms are boron and these vacant hollow spheres are nitrogens. So when this is the first layer, under this layer, at the exact same position under this boron atom, there will be the presence of nitrogen. Boron will not be there. So alternate boron and nitrogen atoms are present at same position. So this is how we draw the layers of boronite, right? But in case of graphite, we need not keep such point in mind because all the atoms are similar. We can place any carbon at any position. But here, as the boron and nitrogens are to be present at alternate positions, so this is to be kept in mind that for first layer, if at that position it is boron, then the alternate layer is going in the alternate day, that position will be occupied by the nitrogen. So now next important compounds are the borohydrides. We can have the better name as tetrahydroborate. So these can better be called as tetrahydroborates because 4 hydrogens are there, and this is borate. We can call it borate, tetrahydroborate. So these groups are called as borohydrides. These were first identified in 1940, where metals were lithium, beryllium, and aluminium, and the first identified products. But the stable ones, which were later on discovered, are that of the alkali metals. Out of these, sodium borohydride and lithium borohydride are very important. These sodium borohydride is stable up to 600 degrees Celsius. So for the preparation of sodium borohydride, what we do is we take trimethyl borate, we treat it with the reducing agent, that is sodium hydride, under high pressure and temperature conditions of 250 degrees Celsius. We'll get the formation of sodium borohydride. Also, we can further prepare different alkali metals or different other metals, alkaline earth metal compounds, or we can have transition metal borohydride via using this sodium borohydride as reactant. By reacting the appropriate metal chloride with the sodium borohydride, we can get the formation of other important borohydrides. Next, we have lithium borohydride, which is another important reducing agent. It is prepared from sodium borohydride by treating it with lithium chloride. Also, it can be prepared from diborane by reacting it with the reducing agent, corresponding reducing agent, that is lithium hydride. In the presence of ether, we get the formation of lithium borohydride. So this lithium borohydride is white solid. In absence of air, it decomposes at 275 degrees Celsius. It reacts with iodine. This is an important reaction where this is a synthesis reaction for Bi3, where we treat iodine molecules with reducing agent, that is lithium borohydride, and we reduce this iodine from 0 oxidation state to -1. So here we have got the compound Bi3 in the where temperature is 125 degrees Celsius. So this is also an important reaction for lithium borohydride. Now, lithium borohydride, when reacts with alcohol, we get the formation of, there is a release of large amount of hydrogen gas. Also with HCl, this is the preparation of diborane. This is another important reaction. This is how we prepare diborane from lithium borohydride by treating it with HCl at -80 degrees Celsius. So sodium borohydride, it is again also a white crystalline solid. Melting point is 505 degrees Celsius, soluble in polar solvents, reacts with HCl and Lewis acid that give diboranes. So here is a reaction with HCl. This is a synthesis reaction for diborane where it is prepared from sodium borohydride. If we treat it with HCl or trihalide of boron, it gives diborane. So both are used as reducing agent. These both the compounds, that is sodium borohydride and lithium borohydride. Now coming to the structure, in case of borohydride ion, boron is sp3 hybridized where 4 hydrogens are present, tetrahedral arrangement of hydrogens around the boron. And if we talk about particularly about sodium borohydride, it is ionic, and but we cannot say all borohydrides are ionic. Not all are ionic, but some are ionic and some are crystalline. Sodium borohydride is ionic crystal. It is having a crystal structure similar to that of sodium chloride, or we can say rock salt type of structure. So it is a versatile ligand the bonding is not simple in case of borohydride ion. There is a three-centered bonding also present in different kinds of borohydrides. We'll see some examples. It can have bridged hydrogens. It can have one bridged hydrogen, two bridged hydrogen, three bridged hydrogen in different borohydrides. Here are some examples we have taken here. Aluminium borohydride. So it is having +3 oxidation state aluminium, and borohydride will have -1 negative charge each. So 3 borohydrides will be there. Each is making bonds with aluminium. Here aluminium is hexa coordinated with, each is making bonds through 2 hydrogens. 2 hydrogen bridges are there for each borohydride. In case of zirconium, it is tetra borohydride of zirconium. Here this is making 3, each borohydride is forming 3 hydrogen bridges, and in case of beryllium, each borohydride is making 2 hydrogen bridges. So this is how these structures are. These 3 structures are important, as these are generally asked directly in your exam. Draw the structure of aluminium borohydride, zirconium borohydride. So we need to keep in mind that how many hydrogen bridges are there in each structures. Next, we have diagonal relationship, or we can say we'll be discussing about how boron is having anomalous behavior in its own group, and it resembles in its properties with that of silicon, which is present at diagonal position in the periodic table. So boron is the first member of group 13. Its features are quite different from its lower group members. This is due to its small size. It is high electronegativity, and it is highly electronegativity. It is highly electronegative, and it has high ionization energy, and there are no d orbitals present in its valence shell, because the outermost shell is principal quantum number is 2, and d orbitals does not exist for 2d orbitals does not exist. So now coming to the anomalous behavior. So boron is the only non-metal while others are metals, or this is a bad conductor of electricity while others are good conductors. It is having extremely high melting points and boiling points due to covalent bonding network of icosahedral structure. It exists in 2 allotropic forms, amorphous and crystalline, while others members do not have any allotropic forms. So it forms covalent compounds, whereas aluminium forms both ionic and covalent compounds, while other members form ionic compounds. Hydrides of only boron are highly known. Rest of the hydrides are not much known and not much studied. Oxides and hydroxides of boron are only acidic. Aluminium and gallium will form their oxides and hydroxides are amphoteric in nature, while that of indium and thallium are basic in nature. Trihalides exist as monomer. Trihalides of boron exist as monomer, while that of aluminium they have dimeric existence. This we have discussed in detail, that why the trihalides of boron exist as monomer, because they have partial double bond character, which is having higher energy to break for the formation, which is required for the formation of dimer. But in case of aluminium, there is no such cases there. It will form dimer preferably in comparison to existing as monomer. So maximum covalency of boron due to its small size is 4, but for the case of aluminium it is 6, because aluminium forms hexavalent compounds. So it combines with magnesium to give borides. So this is an important reaction, important properties. Rest of the members do not combine with magnesium to give any kind of borides, because its electronegativity is high, so it reacts with electropositive metals. Rest of the members behave as electropositive elements also, so they do not react with other electropositive elements and give the formation of corresponding they do not act as anions in combination with electropositive metals, so they won't be giving corresponding silicides or germicides, so they just form. So we have borides out of the group 13. So this is a reaction when it combines with magnesium, we get the formation of borides, because boron is more electronegative than magnesium, unlike other members. Now coming to the similarities of boron with that of silicon. So both are non-metals, both are having high ionization energy, both are poor conductors of electricity, they have high melting points. Silicon, just like boron, it can also exist as, in fact, all the members of group 14 exist in their allotropic forms. They are having allotropic forms except for the lead. We'll study that in group 14. So both can exist in amorphous and crystalline states. Hydrides of both are volatile. They are known in large number. They catches fire when exposed to air. So this property is similar to for both the hydrides, that is boron hydrides and silicon hydrides. Silicon makes silanes and boron forms boranes. Borons, hydrides of boron are called as boranes, and hydrides of silicon are called as silanes. So now coming to the oxides and hydroxides. So these are the oxide corresponding oxides for boron is B2O3, and silica forms as silicon form silica as its oxide, that is SiO2. Both are weakly acidic. They will react with water, that is undergo hydrolysis to give the corresponding acid, that is boric acid, and silicic acid, which will react with alkalis to give corresponding salts, that is sodium metaborate for boron and sodium metasilicate for silicon. So hydroxides, like that of oxides of both, are acidic in character. Halides of both undergoes hydrolysis to give corresponding oxy acids, but fluorides of both will undergo partial hydrolysis to give more better acid than the we can say boric acid or the silicic acid. They will give us fluoroboric acid and fluorosilicic acid. So both react with the corresponding electropositive metals to give boron will give borides and silicon will give silicides. So in elemental form, both behave as semiconductor. They do not conduct electricity. Boric acid and silicic acid react they act as acids and react with alcohols in the presence of concentrated H2SO4 and gives the formation of corresponding esters. Both form esters unlike other members of group 13. So this property of boron matches with that of silicon. So this is how boron is having anomalous behavior in its own group, and its properties are very much similar to that of the member present at its diagonal position, that is the member of group 14, which is silicon. So this is all about the diagonal relationship. In the next video, we'll be starting with our next group, that is group 14 elements. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day.